But he illustrates a problem that people faced in the year without a summer. And especially if you were relatively poor, you could be even more distressed by the year without the summer. This year without a summer was in 1816, which was the result of the eruption of a volcano in the Philippines in 1815, and then the ash obscured the sun and lowered the temperatures here in New England and around the world, actually. But and so garden and hay crops suffered. When you got a frost in June or July, that was made it difficult. So he was a poor man anyway, and so when he needed assistance, he had to apply to the selectmen, who were also the overseers of the poor, for assistance. And I'd like to read what he wrote to them, at least part of what he wrote. After trying every effort and making every display of talent and industry in labor in my power, the present scarcity baffles all my hopes. I am pressed down under severe want and have been for some time, and there is no other way, irksome as it is to my feelings, but to apply to you as a town for little assistance through this cold and dreary winter. This was in January 1817. My family has had no other support for upwards of 3 weeks, but a few potatoes and a little milk, except for 4 quarts of meal and a pound of meat from my ever-to-be-remembered friend W.A., and I think he's referring to Winslow Ames. I have a good cow I would sell, but she is like a secondary mother to my little children. There is no way I can get anything like bread for my labor. Money I have none. I have not more than hay enough to give my cow a little this week. Then all is at an end. Gentlemen, lend a sympathizing ear to my little children and hear the request of your friend, loved Lincoln. And apparently the selectmen, overseers of the poor, responded. I don't have a record from them to that effect, but in his journal, Thomas Hodgkin recorded that he sold some beef, mutton, and wheat to the town for Lincoln's relief. So that's the end of the story in terms of loved Lincoln. So we'll move on to another poor family as we move down the cemetery here. And I need to find them. Okay, now we were talking about these people right here. So you'll want to see these people. Flip too many pages. Solomon Jackson and his wife in 1805 were in difficulty, and they had to apply to the town for relief. The town responded in an interesting way. They bought the farm of Solomon and they would get the benefit of whatever crops and so forth, and then they would help out Solomon otherwise. But it was a kind of well, it was a strange deal anyway. But then they voted to ensure that Lemuel Jackson, their son, and Lemuel's stone is, I think, right here. I cannot read it, but I think it is here because it's next to his wife. He said that the town said that they would give Lemuel Jackson 60 acres of the land if he took good care of his parents during their lifetime. Solomon died a couple of years later, and it was only 3 or 4 years later that the town said, well, we'll sell this lot, this farm, and they did for $850, and along with some cash and the oxen, the total amount of the estate was $934.10. In the meantime, the oxen had been slaughtered by the town and distributed as meat to the poor of the town. And so this Lemuel got the 60 acres, but then he needed help. And so Elias, their son, was given, or the farm was deeded to Elias on the condition that he would maintain his parents, Lemuel Jackson and Betsy Jackson. Is Betsy here, I think. Is that what it says?
Sarah.
Sarah.
B.
Okay.
Sarah B.
Sarah B. Well.
Betsy might be up there.
Okay, I've got confused here then. Well, anyway, it's a good story. And anyway, Betsy, Lemuel, okay. They would have to, Elias would have to maintain his parents, and then he would receive the property. But then, and this is this is sort of disjoined, but it's another note that the Jackson family might have had problems with liquor. And that's why they were not doing very well. And anyway, William Garcelon records in his journal that he went and went to the organizational meeting of the Lewiston Temperance Society, and then afterwards went to the Jackson household to talk with Lemuel Jackson to endeavor to persuade him to desist from his intemperate habits and abuse of his family. I also saw Elias Jackson there. Now,
Right here.
He's right here.
oh, he's there. Okay. Elias Jackson.
Oops, we found Betsy.
Okay, maybe I've got disoriented. Just earlier this week, we came and thought this was the anyway. Saw Elias Jackson there. He had been drinking. I talked to Elias some. He says he is determined to drink and spend his property for, he says he shan't live long anyway. He did live for another 16 years. So I don't know what happened to him in terms of his property and so forth. Okay, we'll be moving now to the Ham Monument down that way. John L. Ham.
Oh, John, yes, right here.
Okay, here he is. I know I have this one. He enlisted in the Civil War at the first call for volunteers. This is John L. Ham. He enlisted in the Civil War at the first call for volunteers in 1861 and re-enlisted to serve throughout the war. He was at the Battle of the Wilderness and at Petersburg and several others, of course. He was a prisoner in South Carolina for 5 months. He came back to Lewiston, joined the GAR, the Grand Army of the Republic, the Veterans Organization, and it is indicated here, GAR on this side of the monument. And of course he has a flag as a veteran, which is installed each year by the local veterans group. He also, when he came back, he built a house, and he built a house which had an interesting feature, at least in terms of the New England style. It has, and it still has, it's on Pine Woods Road here in Lewiston, has a large veranda, the length of the building, the house, and also it wraps around, and that's not a common feature now. Sometimes more modern houses do put verandas on, put porches on, but this one, I always felt that was sort of out of place. But now I think I know why, because it was more of a southern kind of architecture. Along with his father, Nelson Ham, he was a founding member of Lewiston Grange No. 2 and served as the chief executive officer, the master of the Grange, for a couple of years. However, his father, who was quite a prominent individual, who also served as the master of the main state Grange, is buried in Riverside Cemetery, which is more an upper status kind of cemetery, and maybe that's why he's there rather than here. I'm only speculating on that. Moving on, we have go for this flag. Yes, we have a question.
Can we go around by CAs, or do you want to?
Okay, do you want to go that way?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, if we could.
Turn his notes around.
I don't know.
No, these two graves, Charles Augustus Garcelon and Alonzo Marston Garcelon, they were the sons of Alonzo, who became governor, surgeon general in Maine. And C.A. Garcelon, when he was 19 years old, went into the Civil War. You can see that these two brothers were very close. All you got to do is look at their stones, and they planned a long time ahead of when they died to be buried together. Interestingly enough, C.A. Garcelon was 9 years older than Alonzo, but they both died within 4 months of each other in 1935. C.A. Garcelon was born in 1842, so he lived to be 93 years old, just like his great-great-great-grandmother, Deliverance. He was in the 16th